Some question raised, is it prudent? Is social spending sustainable? Will it lead to us becoming a welfare state? This is the last time I speak in budget debate in my capacity as NTUC SecGen. So allow me to share the viewpoints of the labour movement and the tripartite partners too. In the unionized sector, there are 1,500 unionized companies and organizations. Last year, wage increase ranged from 0% to 13%. Bonus ranged from 0 month to 8.3 months. Collective agreement took between 3 meetings to more than 15 meetings before the union and the management could reach agreement. Why the difference across these companies? We live in the real world, and the reality is that even though we as union leaders always try to do our best for our workers, but how much we can secure for our workers depend on how well the business is doing in terms of profitability, in terms of growth. It's always easier to secure more for workers when there's a growing pie, and much tougher when we have to fight over a shrinking pie. The same reality applies at the national level too. So we try to do more good for our people. Our hearts say yes, but our heads also remind us that we can only do more good for our people if we have more resources. And this can best come about if we can keep growing our economy and employment too, so that we will not end up becoming a welfare state. So instead of having to balance future budgets by cutting back on spending, we believe it is better to balance future budgets by growing our economy and revenue. To succeed, we have to keep progressing from one stage of development to the next. Along the way, we'll be confronted with new bottlenecks, and we have to find ways to break them. For a fisherman who cannot find enough fish to catch, fish is a bottleneck. He will have to find a better place so that he can break this bottleneck. When he has found the right place, when there are enough fish for him to catch, more than what he alone can catch, then labor has become the bottleneck. You have to employ more boats and more fishermen to help him to catch more fish. Having caught more fish, but more than what his men can now possess, then production capacity is now the new bottleneck. So we have to purchase machines and equipment to speed up the processing. And by the time he's able to produce more fish products with all this capital investment, more than what he can sell, then market has become the new bottleneck. So he has to invest in product development, process development, and most importantly, market development. So from this simple story, you can see that only by breaking new bottlenecks along every stage of development can the business continue to upgrade and grow. In this case, from a resource-intensive industry to a labor-intensive industry to a technology-intensive industry and to finally a knowledge-intensive industry. This too is what we have to do as an economy. We have to keep breaking new bottlenecks as we restructure our economy, as we move from one stage of development to the next. For illustration, I would just like to recall 2 defining moments in the past. In the 1960s, job was the bottleneck because we did not have enough jobs for our workers. Our response then was to embark on a journey of modernization. So the tripartite partners, instead of from confrontation, we moved towards collaboration. As a result, we were able to secure full employment for our people and sustain it till today. I think it's an achievement that we all can be proud of. So we succeeded through modernization to break the bottleneck of jobs. In the 1990s, it was a period of transformation for the Asia Pacific. To many multinational companies at that time, Asia Pacific was classified in their market segmentation, was classified as part of the ROW. ROW. What does ROW stand for? Rest of the world, meaning etc., etc. So they pay a lot of attention to the North American market, to the European market, but Asia Pacific, together with the other underdeveloped markets, are called rest of the world. However, in the 1990s, with the opening of the China economy, together with Japan and others, including Singapore and ASEAN, collectively, we transformed Asia into what they call a BOW, best of the world, because companies realized that they cannot continue to grow, they cannot outperform their competitors if they are not able to capture this very important market of Asia Pacific. So they rebrand Asia Pacific from rest of the world to best of the world. They decided to adopt a vertical division of labor. They decided to move away from vertical division of labor towards horizontal division of labor. In other words, instead of looking at Asia Pacific as a low-cost production base, they decided to move in some of the high-quality jobs, including product development, process development, innovation development, into the Asia Pacific. The rapid growth of Asia brought new opportunities to Singapore, but at the same time, new threats too, because we could have been leapfrogged by our competitors. Our response at the time was to embark on a journey of globalization. I still remember at EDB, we talked about inner globalization within Asia Pacific and outer globalization beyond Asia Pacific. However, as we compete for better jobs, better quality jobs, we realize that our limited experience, our limited capabilities in advanced knowledge and R&D innovation, high-tech industry were our bottleneck. So what did we do? We embarked on a journey to nurture, to support, to upgrade our workforce, our businesses, our economy to where we are today. So because of our focus on globalization, we were able to break the bottleneck in our skill and capability. Today, we still have to keep running because the world keeps changing. After modernization and globalization, modernization in the 60s, globalization in the 90s, what is next? I tried very hard to look for suitable word. I searched all dictionary, and I could not find one that I feel is suitable. So I have no choice, I came up with my own. It's called futurization, meaning a mindset of moving faster into the future. Do not wait for the future to come to us, but we go to the future ahead of our competition, meaning a mindset of preparing ourselves better for the future, ahead of our competition. In this journey of futurization, we have to break not one, not two, but three bottlenecks. The first is the bottleneck of capacity for future growth. Without additional capacity in our economy, there will be no room for growth. We have been expanding our workforce, but pace has slowed. Manpower utilization is near full capacity. Unemployment is low. Our employment rate is high. For male, our employment rate is higher than all the OECD countries. For female, among the top 15. Our foreign manpower is now reaching about the long-term target of 1/3 versus 2/3. So in other words, there is now limited scope for us to grow our workforce. So growth will continue to slow down, maybe from 3% to 2%, maybe even eventually 1% between now and 2020, 2030. What this means is that more of our growth in future capacity, our economic capacity, will have to come from growth in labor productivity and innovation. We heard this many times before, and I have to say it one more time. If productivity growth remains low or even negative, we could end up with low growth or even economic stagnation due to this lack of capacity. When that happens, wages will go down, unemployment will go up, re-employment will drop. There'll be less or no budget surplus, and it'll be harder for us to try to do more good for our people. I'm sure we do not want this to happen, and that's why we must find ways to break this economic capacity bottleneck. We are seeing encouraging progress in our strive for higher productivity. In fact, many pioneers and early adopters are showing the ways, including the SMEs. But they are the minority as of now, and what we need to do is continue to press on to widen our outreach, quicken the pace, to bring on board the majority, the early majority, the late majority. We have to transform not just company by company, but also sector by sector, and make productivity a truly national movement. The second bottleneck we have to break is manpower optimization. We have 2/3 local manpower complemented by 1/3 foreign manpower. The challenge is, how are we going to ensure that 2/3 plus 1/3 will be more than 1 and not less than 1? In other words, we must find ways to value every worker, all callers, all ages, and all nationalities too. Local workers, including our foreign workers. I often hear employers telling us that not possible to transform every job to attract Singaporean workers. So not possible, but to attract Singaporeans to take out every job. And my reply to them is always that we don't have to do so, because there's no need for us to try to transform every job so that every job is attractive to Singaporean workers. But all we need to do over on the whole is to transform at least 2/3 of the jobs in Singapore to attract the 2/3 workforce, which are the local workforce. Because it's not intention to drive away all foreign workers in Singapore. There will always be the 1/3 in the workforce belonging to the foreign manpower. So therefore, my point to them is that you have to apply your mind. Don't try to work on every job. But if every one of us are able to redesign, to transform 2 jobs of the jobs into better jobs, jobs that are attractive to Singaporeans, then we are there. Skill Future initiatives, such as Earn and Learn, is very much welcome by the labour movement, because we believe that through such program, we can help many new job entrants to move into new industry, promising industry, take on new career, without being hampered by the academic qualification or by the lack of working experience. In other words, if we can achieve this situation whereby every employer values every worker and every worker values every job, then we can build a strong Singaporean core and yet at the same time tap on the expertise and availability of foreign manpower in Singapore to help enlarge the Singapore economic pie. So in other words, 2/3 plus 1/3 can be bigger than 1 if we're able to break the bottleneck of manpower optimization. Last but not least, the bottleneck of mindset, the mindset of breaking away from the present and venture in the future. Again, many employers, companies would say that it's very hard to survive here. So you ask them, so what are you going to do? Some would say that I'm going to keep moving to lower cost location, lower wage location, one after another. It's like flying in the plane, flying west, chasing after the sunset, never get to see the sunrise. Actually, this is possible. A photographer actually did that. He went onto the plane, kept flying west for 24 hours, and he was able to capture this sunset around the world during that 24 hours, keep staying with the sunset. Yeah. He did it because it's a very interesting project. But I don't think businesses should do that, because if you keep going west, keep chasing up the sunset, keep going for lower cost location, I think eventually you end up with darkness. So instead of flying west to keep up with the sunset, why not fly east? I think for those of us who fly east all the time, we'll know that the night will be shorter and the sunrise will come sooner. And in fact, once the sunrise comes, you can stay in the sun and for as long as we can until maybe the time to move on again to the next sunrise. This mindset of embracing the future is applicable to workers, businesses, and the economy as a whole. We must not live with problems of today by chasing after the sunset Instead, we must turn challenges of today into opportunities of tomorrow. 3D printing, robotization, urbanization, big data, Internet of Things, digitization of services, O2O, online to offline, offline to online. All these are coming. In fact, some are already here, so there's no place to hide. With SkillFuture, we hope that every one of us can put this few SkillFuture credit to good use. Some are worried that if we do not put the SkillFuture credit to good use, then $1 billion is too much money to spend, too much money to waste. Some others told us in the labor movement, the workers say, with $500, how much training can I really go for to really make a difference to my future readiness? And we reminded them, future credit, SkillFuture credit may be only $500, maybe $500. But don't forget, this is net of training subsidies. In fact, many training programs in Singapore are subsidized by the government, between 70% to 90%. So workers need to use a SkillFuture credit only to pay for the net fees, which are net of subsidies. So at 70% subsidies, $500 you can go for a training of more than $1,500, if my calculation is correct. If it's a 90% subsidies, $500 you can go for $5,000 worth of training. So therefore, my point is this, is that yes, I think it is a big investment, more than just a $1 billion SkillFuture credit. I think what we have to do is really to work together to make good use of this heavy investment. Let us help our workers to learn hard skill, learn soft skill, but most importantly, help them to learn to be a reskillable worker. Reskilling will not stop because the future will not stop changing. Hopefully, if more workers can become reskillable workers, then more of them can become more employable in the future. Likewise, businesses should really take full advantage of this transitional support package, because we like to see more companies re-engineering themselves, repositioning themselves before the transition is over, because this is only a transitional package. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, we live in a world full of challenges. Some countries have to cope with challenges of failure. For example, uncompetitiveness, high unemployment, excess capacity in their economy. Our challenge in Singapore is of a different kind. Ours is not a challenge of failure, but challenge of success. Not a problem with excess capacity, but a challenge of keep growing, keep expanding, running in full capacity. I think it's better that we overcome challenge of success before they turn into challenges of failure. We have succeeded before, from modernization to globalization. I believe we can make it again, towards a better economy, better workforce, and better budget for many more years to come. Madam Speaker, I support the motion. I support the budget.